Hi, my name is Mike Yunker, and I'm doing a 10-minute video on strategies for staying healthy while gaining hours towards licensure. The road to licensure is arduous and carries with it pitfalls that can trip up the most well-intentioned students. And many who have taken the journey will agree, hard work is not enough, and simply grinding through it can, at times, do more harm than good. So instead, the key to fulfilling the necessary hours for licensure, while at the same time not losing yourself in the process, is, I believe, giving yourself positive permissions. I think there's 4 positive permissions every person needs to consider while pursuing licensure. And the reason I use the word permissions before we move to the next slide is that when we begin to give ourselves permissions, it really does free us up to make choices at times when we feel like we're trapped. Licensure and getting those hours can be daunting. And if we're not careful, we'll find in our vernacular words such as I can't and I don't, or it's impossible. And when we begin to use that kind of terminology to describe our life, we can feel trapped. We can feel like we are in the spin cycle of life and we don't know how to get out. So giving ourselves permission to take care of ourselves intentionally and strategically, I think is key for us to do the long, hard work of gaining those hours necessary for licensure. So here are those 4 permissions. Number 1, permission to be healthy. I know that may seem odd, but I believe it's important that we take care of ourselves, that self-care is not synonymous with selfishness. And so we need to take care of our bodies. It's important that we prioritize our well-being, not only for ourselves, but for those we serve. Healthy living can include the following. I think number 1 is plenty of sleep. We need to get rest. 7 to 8 hours typically is what we need, and in that sleep we process, our body gets rest, we metabolize the day that was behind us. I believe sleep is so vital to our well-being. A healthy diet and exercise, making sure that we're feeding this temple that we have and we're caring for it. We're stretching out our ligaments and working our muscles, and we're eating well, we're fueling our body. These are things that are so important, and I know at times we can practice a bit of carelessness in these areas, but they do come back to get us if we're not careful. So long-term, healthy diet, exercise are key to licensure. Seeing your doctor or going to the dentist. Sometimes a bit of prevention really saves us from a ton of cure. That going to the doctor for a checkup and taking care of a few of those things, and going to the dentist and making sure that we're taking care of that, really saves us from being put to the sidelines because of long-term illness or something worse. So go see your doctor and your dentist. It's important to you. So by way of review, permission to be healthy means that we get plenty of sleep, we get a healthy diet and exercise into our life, and that we're intentional in these things, and we see our doctor and our dentist on a regular basis. I believe the second permission we have is the permission to play. This means we fill up our fun cup, that we're intentional in our play and we protect it. It seems like the playfulness in us begins to be pushed to the wayside as responsibilities creep in. We need to make sure that we protect time to care for ourselves in play. And here's some things to consider when doing that. First, be adventurous in your activities, especially with those you love. Go out and have a great time. Go camping, fishing, rock climbing, whatever it is that's adventurous to you. Let's break away from the boredom and the mundane, and let's go out and have a good time. That's part of play, and those are permissions we need to give ourselves. Making sure that we have hobbies and creative outlets, places where we're able to express ourselves more than just in licensure and hours, but we get to do art and we get to do some things with our hands and with our mind and body that we don't normally get to do in the day-to-day grind. Healthy distractions are a form of play. Make sure you get a good book in, watch a movie. If you're a gamer, get some gaming in. It's okay to laugh and have a good time, which takes us to the last one when we talk about permission play, which is laugh well. Anything that makes you laugh well, make sure that's a part of your diet. Make sure you know how to smile in the midst of this arduous journey that you're on. So permission to play means do activities that are adventurous, hobbies and creative outlets, part of your life, healthy distractions, gaming, books. For me, I go on motorcycle rides. Whatever it is, that's a healthy distraction for you. And anything that helps you laugh, that's worth its weight in gold. Make sure you protect these times. Be strategic and intentional in your play. Our third permission is the permission to reflect. This means that we are taking time to feel and reflect on what is both happening in us and around us. This is vital. Here's some activities that help us in the reflection process. Practicing mindful rest and stillness. Make sure you take time, maybe every day, to take a few minutes and survey your heart and your mind. Care for those places that are hurting the most. Make sure that you're speaking life into those areas that may be just on the fringe, and be still in that process. You don't always have to multitask. There is a quote, wasting time with God, and make sure you're doing a good job at that. Find a personal counselor. Find somebody that you can sit on the other side of the room with and decompress what it's like to be doing all of these hours and all that comes with that. We need help reasoning things out, and a good counselor will do that. Journal your experience. Write out what you're feeling and thinking. I believe when we put words to paper, we actually have to take time to find the right adjectives as to how we're feeling and thinking. And celebrate often. Yes, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and yes, they are a lot of hours, but make sure that you're celebrating often. Laugh, dance, make sure you know that you're doing great and you're on a good journey. So permission to reflect means that we are practicing mindful rest and stillness. We're meeting with a personal counselor on a regular basis. We're journaling our experiences, and we never forget to celebrate. We're intentional and strategic in these things, and yet we have to allow ourselves permission to do that. So the last permission here out of the four is permission to connect. Connection with others in healthy community is a way we gain nourishment for the soul and strength for the days ahead. Some of these connections can include fellow students who can empathize with you. Make sure you know the names of your students. Don't go about this alone. Talk with others. Make sure that your supervisor who's supervising your hours is encouraging and kind. Find a supervisor that allows you to not take yourself too seriously, that remembers what it's like to be you and where you're at. And these supervisors are worth their weight in gold. You'll learn a ton. Connect with a consultation group for feedback and ongoing learning. Now, this is a little different than your fellow students. These are counselors that maybe have some experience beyond you, and get into these kinds of groups. Listen to how they're processing. This will be key for you as you're getting your hours in, so you know that it will get better, and there are people around you that have done it, and so you're learning and you're growing with their feedback as well. Find a community of faith. Make sure that you know that you are a spiritual person. You're not a robot just checking off hours, that there's more to you than this. And so having a spiritual community, a faith-based community that you're connecting with, will help you in this long journey of getting your hours for licensure. So by way of review, permission to connect means fellow students, connect with them, supervisors who are kind and encouraging, a consultation group for feedback, and a community of faith. So as we wrap up here, let's just take a look one more time at these four key permissions. The first is permission to be healthy. Secondly, permission to play. Third, give yourself permission to reflect. And lastly, give yourself permission to connect. Be careful when you use the words I can't or I don't or things are impossible, but instead look at these areas where you can give yourself permission, where you can begin to do the little things that will add up over time. And I believe as you practice these permissions, you'll find that you'll not only get your licensure, but you won't lose yourself in the process. Thanks for watching.